Greetings, loved ones. Today we're going to talk about empowering survivors of domestic abuse. Please help us get these messages out. This is the whole purpose that why we're here doing this. Subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and please share these messages with others. You never know, just by doing so, you could save a life. Domestic violence advocates say that the best way to help survivors is to give them back control. Abusers control. That's their number one tactic to keep domestic abuse survivors simultaneously afraid of them and yet reluctant to leave. Be it controlling a survivor's ability to go places, hold a job, access money, see friends or family, keep their children, what sexual decisions to make, or by using some other form of mental control to make the survivor feel dependent on their abuser. These are all tricks of the abuser's trade. That's why when a survivor decides it's time to speak out about their situation and it's time to get help, the last thing they need is someone else telling them what to do. As a result, domestic violence advocates say that using an empowerment model or empowerment philosophy is more successful in helping survivors escape abuse than by simply telling them to get out. The Sojourner Center, a domestic violence shelter in Arizona, subscribes to this belief. They say that empowerment centers on the belief that women and children can break the cycle of domestic violence through supportive intervention because they possess the ability to make decisions that foster healthy, violence-free relationships. According to the Best Practices Manual of the Arizona Coalition of Domestic Violence, they say historically, domestic violence service providers and the community have responded to domestic violence by coaching victims on how to leave and how they should respond to the abusive relationship. Over time, we have learned from survivors that what they need most is support, encouragement, and the resources they need to achieve their goals. Tammy Sullivan, Director of Family Violence Research and Programs at Yale University, agrees. She says this is why domestic violence service providers are so critical. They know about options for victims. Sometimes it's a shelter and sometimes it's developing a safety plan, but it's all about empowering the victim. Survivors are often told things by their abusers like they're useless, worthless, or they're a horrible parent, and they come to believe it's true. That's why empowering a survivor is so impactful to healing. She says the empowerment model provides an environment in which each individual is responsible for his or her actions by supporting their right to make choices about themselves and how they live their life. This is in the Coalition's manual. If you're with an abusive partner, start your journey of empowerment today by learning about escaping violence. Domestic violence advocates say that the best way to help survivors is to give them back control. Abusers control. That's their number one tactic, to keep domestic abuse survivors simultaneously afraid of them and yet reluctant to leave. If you're with an abusive partner, start your journey of empowerment today by learning about escaping violence. So this is the empowerment model. I went and downloaded it, and so we're going to check this out. It says, the individual is not the cause of their problem. With information and support, the individual can make the best decisions for generating a solution. Empowerment is a multidimensional social process of increasing the capacity of individuals or groups to make choices and to transform those choices into desired actions and outcomes. This process creates the power to use these choices in your own life, community, and society, with individuals acting on issues that they define as important. Domestic and sexual violence is embedded within a social and historical context of oppression and must be addressed comprehensively through education, advocacy, and empowerment. The model is designed to support empowerment by providing information, tools, resources, and opportunities based on the goals and objectives defined by each survivor. The systems victims are involved in are often confusing and perpetuate social imbalances of power. So here's a history. The empowerment empowerment model arose from the feminist movements in the 1970s, which understands sexual and domestic violence within a social, cultural, and historical framework of inequality between the sexes. Violence perpetrated by men against women in intimate relationships is a result of this systemic power imbalance that serves to keep women subordinate. Empowerment is based on the belief that everything possible should be done to restore power to victims through validation, community, and celebration of their strengths. Other interventions may consider the victim disordered, as if she were maladaptive or contributing to the violence being perpetrated on her. The empowerment model instead works to identify and challenge the external conditions of their lives, to promote resilience in the face of adversity, and to make the victim the primary player in discussions and decisions about her future. This is based on a social justice mission to work with individuals around their unique situations and simultaneously dismantle the circumstances which allow for violence to happen. Because domestic and sexual violence often remove one's ability to exercise control over their life, the first goals of crisis intervention in the empowerment model is to validate what has happened to them and make obvious the innate power and survival strategies they have developed to stay alive. The empowerment model recognizes that violence is never the fault of the victim, and the model works with people to exercise the individual's power by providing them with a safe, supportive space to brainstorm, experiment, and gather information without judgment. The empowerment model aligns with the desires and the expectations from Fetter's meta-analysis. It has also been consistently validated by evaluations conducted with survivors' services using the model. Because the empowerment model directly responds to the root cause of violence being perpetrated as a social system, in addition to the immediate needs and long-term goals of survivors, it is the most effective model for our work. The process of empowerment enables one to gain power, authority, and influence over themselves within institutions or society. Empowerment can be the totality of the following or similar capabilities: having decision-making power, having access to information and resources to make decisions aligned with your personal goals and outcomes, having a range of options from which you can make choices, not just yes, no, either or, this or that, the ability to exercise assertiveness in collective decision making, trusting one's ability to affect change for themselves in the world, ability to build skills for improving one's personal or group power, active in a growth process and self-evaluation, self-evolution that is never-ending and self-initiated, increasing one's positive sense of self and overcoming stigma, increasing one's ability to identify things that they are comfortable with and those which are violating some sense of themselves in their boundaries. This is a really good model. With 1 in 3 women experience domestic violence worldwide and 50 million children witnessing the violence each year, the question is not if you will encounter a victim of violence. The question before God is, what will you do when you do encounter them? You can be the person who saves a life. You are called. We are all called to be champions of justice, and those who suffer violence, they need to know that those who love them and those who don't even know them will reach out and step out and help them with the courage they need to leave before it's too late. Help us get these messages out. That's the whole purpose of these video series, so those who don't suffer violence can recognize someone who is and know what to do, and for those who are victims of violence to recognize that they are victims of violence and know what to do and know that they can get out. So please subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and please share these messages with others. If you're a victim of violence, please listen to me. You've been listening to lies way too long. I want you to know the truth, and the truth is that you are valued, you are loved, you are intelligent, you are beautiful just as you are. God does not want you to suffer violence. He wants you to live free from violence in peace and tranquility. You're not alone. There is a way out. It's not your fault, and abuse is not love. If you are a victim of violence, please reach out to somebody today. If you are in a dangerous situation, please call 911 for help. And if you know of a child suffering violence, please tell the authorities. In our next episode, we will talk about rebuilding your self-esteem after abuse. Until then, God bless you.